What is a WordPress website backup? Backing up your site is the process of making a copy of its files, a snapshot that can be restored later. Restoring your site is the process of putting it back the way it was at the date and time it was backed up. What you should back up: database, pages and posts, plugins. Ways to back up your WordPress website. There are many tools and several different methods you can use to back up your WordPress website. Automatic backups. Automatic backups run at pre-selected times on a regular schedule. The files for these backups are kept for a specified length of time and then deleted. The greater the frequency of backups, the more up-to-date you remain if you have to restore a backup. Hosts like Bluehost and WP's iThost automatically run regular backups for you. Automatic backups are much easier and faster than doing it manually. Manual backups. Manual backups might be less structured and less frequently done. Using a plugin like Updraft Plus is one method of manually backing up your site. Updraft Plus can create and download backup files to your computer. Your web host should have a method, if your host uses cPanel as its dashboard, to let you back up your data manually. One way to manually create backups, using tools provided by your host, is the use of phpMyAdmin and MySQL, and download the database and the rest of the files manually. This is only recommended if you are used to working in the back end of web hosting platforms or if you have no other options. Before you begin this process, decide which method works best for you. Check with your host to see if there is an existing backup file and if you can download it. Also, you need a place to store the backup files. You can download it straight to your computer. However, businesses may want to have an external hard drive to save backup files to. You also want to keep at least the 3 most recent copies of the backup, so that you have multiple options for restoring your website. Manual backup. Remember, this is a process for people who have some experience working on website backends. If you are unsure of any of these steps, stop and ask your host for help. To do a manual backup, start by logging into your hosting platform. This is not the WordPress site that your website sits on, but the administrative system that your web host has. Once you are logged in, look for a backup program in the list of available tools. If your host has one, you can use it to download the latest backup file. If you don't see one, then look for a program like phpMyAdmin and MySQL. Usually, they will have the words PHP or SQL in the title. Open each one separately and download the files there. Alternatively, you can use an FTP manager to access the website files you need. FileZilla is a common option. You will need the FTP information for your site, which is in the hosting platform. Once you can give FileZilla FTP access to your site, download everything that is in the main file for your web host. Make sure you don't delete anything. Plugins. If you are going to use the plugin, then use the plugin installer in WordPress on the Plugins tab. It will take you to the plugin store, where you can search for and download the plugin. Much of the process is automatic, so it will be quick and easy. Once you have the plugin installed, activate it and follow the instructions from the manufacturer. It will usually be as simple as pushing the backup button in the plugin's interface. Hosting site automatic backup. Similar to doing a manual backup, log into your hosting account. Look for the tool that the host has for automatic backups. When you open it, it should give you an option to download the backup files. If you have any questions, reach out to your host for assistance. A backup is a copy of the files needed for your website. This includes the core files for WordPress, any plugins or additions you made to the site, and a copy of the database that it uses to store information. In essence, it is a snapshot of your website that you can use to restore it if something happens to the files on the server. This is critical for WordPress, especially if you have an online store. WordPress stores all of its data, posts, page content, pictures, user accounts, etc. in a central database. If this database is changed in the wrong way or deleted, your website will break. If you have a backup of your site, you can restore the damaged parts or replace everything to get your site back online right away. You should back up your website regularly. Most people try to do it once per month. However, sites with higher traffic should do it more often. If you have an online store, you should try to back it up at least once per week. That way, you won't lose track of new user accounts, shopping carts, or sales data. Third-party maintenance service. Use of a third party would involve subscribing to a service that would access your WordPress backend remotely to back up your files. The service provider would then perform backups on a regular schedule. Usually an interface would be provided for you to restore and work with the backup files.